All right, let's talk about it. That calculus midterm is looming, and I know it can feel like this huge, overwhelming mountain of stuff is about to come down on you. But what if you had a clear, actionable plan? A way to not just get through it, but to actually nail it? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build right here, right now. Let's get into it. So, this is the big question, isn't it? The stress, the anxiety, a lot of it just comes from not knowing where to even start. Like, what do I focus on? Am I wasting my time on the wrong chapters? Am I practicing the right kind of problems? We are going to take all of that uncertainty and turn it into a confident, laser-focused study plan. And here's our game plan for how we're going to do it. First, we're going to map out the exam territory so you know exactly what's on it. Then we'll dive into the core concepts you absolutely have to master. After that, we're decoding the different types of questions you're going to see. And finally, we'll pull it all together into a final study blueprint. Let's jump in.
Okay, first things first. To study smart, you can't just randomly open your textbook and hope for the best. You've got to know the precise boundaries of the exam, what's on it, and just as important, what's not on it. Knowing this is going to save you so much time, and make sure you're not studying stuff that won't even be tested.
And here it is. This is our map, pulled straight from the syllabus, so there's no guesswork. We are covering weeks 1 through 7. Now, look at the flow here. We start with real numbers, then functions, and then, check this out, we spend 3 solid weeks on limits, weeks 3, 4, and 5. That is a massive clue about what's really important. We then wrap up by just getting into the definition of derivatives. This right here is your study universe. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, let's look at the numbers. That midterm is worth 21% of your entire grade for the course. That is a huge slice of the pie. Think about it. It's worth more than your homework and all your quizzes put together. Nailing this exam really sets you up for a great final grade. Okay, so now we know what chapters to focus on, but let's talk about the big ideas, the themes that connect everything. Early calculus is really built on 3 main pillars. If you can get your head wrapped around these 3 big concepts, everything else just clicks into place. So it all starts with functions. You can think of these as the basic language of calculus. They're just rules that describe relationships between things. You know, how the distance you travel depends on how long you've been driving, or how a company's profit depends on how many items they sell. Everything we do in calculus is about analyzing these relationships, these functions. Next up, limits. And if functions are the language, then limits are the engine of calculus. This is the big, clever idea that lets us zoom in on what's happening at one single, infinitely tiny point in time. Without limits, you can only find your average speed for a whole car trip. But with limits, you can find your exact, instantaneous speed the very moment you glance at the speedometer. That's what makes calculus so powerful. And all of that leads us here, to derivatives. This is the payoff. This is the main tool you're going to be using. A derivative takes those ideas of functions and limits and gives us a way to find the exact rate of change at any given moment. It's the slope of the curve at a single point. It's how we calculate the speed of a falling object or the growth rate of a population. So we've got the concepts down. Now let's talk about how this stuff is actually going to show up on the test paper. See, knowing the material is one thing, but knowing how you're going to be tested on it, well, that's key to staying calm and doing well under pressure. You're probably going to see 3 main kinds of questions. First up, you'll get direct computation problems. These are the most straightforward questions. They're basically asking one thing. Do you know the rules? Can you apply the power rule? Can you find a limit using algebra? There are no tricks here. It's all about executing the steps correctly and accurately. The second type is graphical interpretation. This is where your professor checks to see if you can connect the formulas to what they actually mean visually. Can you look at a graph and see where the slope, the derivative, is positive, meaning things are increasing, or where it's 0 at the very top or bottom of a curve? This really tests your deeper understanding of the concepts. And finally, you will almost definitely get an applied word problem. This is where you have to take a real-world situation, like this one about a diver, and translate it into the language of calculus. The key here is not to panic. Your first step, always, is to just identify the variables. Here, it's pressure P and depth D. Then you figure out the function that connects them. Once you have that equation, it's just a problem you already know how to solve. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. We've mapped out the topics, we've nailed down the core concepts, and we've decoded the question types. So now, let's pull it all together into one final actionable checklist you can use for your last few days of studying. Here it is, your blueprint. First, focus only on weeks 1 to 7. Don't get distracted. Second, please don't just memorize formulas. Understand why they work. Third, drill those computation problems over and over until you can do them in your sleep. That's where you get easy points. Fourth, spend real time with graphs. Keep asking yourself, what is the slope telling me? Fifth, practice breaking down word problems. It's a skill and it gets easier every time you do it. And last, and this is a big one, go back over your old homework and quizzes. They are the best sneak peek you're ever going to get into what your professor thinks is important. So, this isn't some big, scary, unknown thing anymore. You have the blueprint. You know what to study, you know what concepts matter the most, and you know how you're going to be tested on them. The only question left is, are you ready to put in the focused work to build your success? You've got this.